Expecting an entire generation to have their life trajectory figured out at the age of 17 just is an interesting choice that our society has made the norm. And I'm going to be so honest, I think I'm one of those 17-year-olds who doesn't quite have it figured out. I think I know what I want to do, but how well do you truly know yourself at 17? This is Almost Adulting. Hi, hello, hi, welcome back to Life with Naya. I'm Naya, and in today's video, I'm doing something a little different from my usual content style. Today, I just want to talk about this because 17 has been such a weird age to navigate, and I've been talking about it with my friends, and they very much feel the same. All of us are in this weird limbo and also a state of frustration and growing pains. And I just wanted to share my thoughts with other people my age because I don't think me and my friends are the only ones feeling like this and going through this, you know? So let's get into it. It's sort of limbo, not quite a child, but not quite an adult either. You're on the brink of turning 18, but even at the age of 18, I think especially in households of color, that sounded strange, but especially in households with people of color, you don't start to get treated like an adult at 18. Your family still treats you like a kid. And to a certain extent, they should, because what is the big difference between 17 and 18? It's not like some magic switch in our brain turns on. It's not 25 when your frontal lobe develops. It's just 18, the age where you can now vote. But what else fundamentally changes about you that we're expected to have everything figured out and you now have the legal and societal responsibility of being an adult? Let's take a little water break. My lip gloss is on the side of my cup. I thought what better way to start than just by talking about the age of 17 and the big life changes, because I feel like so much happens at 17. I feel like my life has changed so much in the past year, and it's genuinely insane. And in these next couple months, my life is once again going to be going through some big changes. I'm officially going to be starting college, and I can't lie and say that does not make me nervous. It makes me incredibly nervous. Being 17, I really had to choose what I want for myself. Do I want to keep myself pigeonholed by my anxiety? And I've decided that no, I don't want that for myself. I am a very anxious person, but when I want something, I can put myself out there. 17 feels so intense and also not at the same time. Because for me, when I was thinking about my birthdays, okay, so 15-year-old Anaya, the big birthdays were 16 and 18. Those are the big birthdays that are approaching. 16 because sweet 16, everybody has the big extravagant birthday party, the celebration, and it's great. It's amazing. Everybody is anticipating 16. They're hyping up 16. Then when you're 16, you think nothing of your 17th birthday. You're just like, it's just kind of there. It doesn't do anything. That's just 17, right? Nobody really talks about 17. Everybody's thinking about 18 because 18 is when you're going to be considered an adult. Oh my gosh, 18 is the next big age. It's the next big milestone. But somehow I think that 17 is bigger than 18. I think that 17 is a pivotal stage that creeps up behind all of us. I don't think all of us realize that 17 is going to be such an impactful age, because me and my friends have all talked about this and we're like, 17 has been kicking my fill in the blank. It has been such a difficult age. So much has happened. So for me personally, at the age of 17, I moved countries. So I'm just to get a little bit personal. I was born in New York. I'm straight from Brooklyn, baby. And I lived here for a couple of years, and I would go back and forth between the States and Trinidad, which is where my family's from, my parents are from, my grandparents are from. I'm very much first generation American. Most of my roots are Trini, and I identify as Trini because that's where my cultural ties are, my familial ties are. And it was just, going back and forth. Then COVID happened, and ultimately I stayed in Trinidad. I completed my secondary school education, but I always knew that I would be coming back and living with my nana in the States to do tertiary education, to do college, right? And so I came back here, and at first, it didn't really hit me that I moved to an entirely different country and that I wouldn't be seeing my family and friends as much because I was still doing the back and forth thing. So when I came in August of 2025, and I was settling in really well. I loved it. Everything was still new, and also just remembering and experiencing things from when I was a child. It's oh my gosh, I remember this place and I remember that. And also moments of meeting people who remember me. And I don't remember them, quite frankly, because the last time that they knew me, did they actually know me, right? Because I would have been a literal child, probably 8, 9. Now I think I actually am my own person. I have my own thoughts, feelings, morals, values, very much, how do I phrase this? I have the things that are my at the core of my very being, and I don't think those people know that anymore. Like they don't really know me anymore. So it's so interesting meeting people who claim to know me, but it's like I don't really know if you know me. Like you knew me when I was a kid, like I was a baby. I wasn't thinking about societal issues. I didn't have my opinions on any of those things. I was just a child. And like, yes, I'm still a child now, but especially with social media, we are so exposed to seeing so many things. And I'm not one of those people who sticks their head in the clouds and says, I don't care about politics. Like, no, even if I didn't care about politics, my identity as a young Black girl makes politics care about me. So I have to make it my business to be informed and to be educated. And so I've always had an interest in things like this, the social sciences and stuff like that. So that's ultimately how I chose to pursue economics as my career. But that's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're talking about. I'm getting distracted. I mostly want to talk about like the big changes that happened when I was 17. So it didn't fully hit because I was still like going back and forth. I think I went back to Trinidad like 2 times after I officially moved here. And then I came back and it was finally time to start settling into life here. It was time to start doing the SAT. It was time to start applying to colleges. It was time to start applying for financial aid. It was time to start doing these things, getting accepted to schools, having to figure out and navigate the subway system and doing all of these things. And I was like, whoa. And I think that's when the shift really hit me. And it's like, oh my gosh, 17 is like definitely on the brink of adulthood. There were so many things that all of a sudden I had to do these things on my own. I needed to go to the DMV by myself to get my ID appointment. I didn't go with my nana. I had to do that by myself. And if you don't know me, if you knew me in Trinidad, I am such an anxious person. I'm so scared. I used to be the girl who was too scared to go and order something at the counter. And now I have to be confident enough to head on the subway station to go to the DMV, do go through the go through the processes myself and do things like that for myself. I have to fill out forms, get my working papers, try applying for jobs, doing all these things by myself, doing all of this research, and truly realizing in that moment that like I truly am the one in charge of my life at this point in time. I have to figure it out on my own because I know what I want for my life. I know what I want for my future. And I think 17, you start to get that future panic is the term that they use, right? It's like this heavy pressure to figure out college, jobs, the rest of your life. And your brain, your goals, all of a sudden things are rapidly shifting. If you asked me a couple months ago, I was not convinced, but I kind of convinced myself that I was going to join the military. Um, and being truthful, the main reason was for like financial aid because my family, we're not rich, okay, and I know that school is extremely expensive. So I was trying to think of like how am I going to support myself in life, because it's one thing to get through school, but then after school, exorbitant amounts of debt. How do I plan to pay that off, right? And so I was sort of settling to put myself into a military career. It's something that I'm familiar with because a lot of people in my family are in the defense force in Trinidad. So it was, I started grappling with it. And I was like, I don't want that for my life. I don't want that for myself. I don't want to be constricted by like all the rules and regulations of something like the military. I want to figure out who I am. And like deep down, it's like I was trying, I was like fighting with my brain. Like I had already started going through certain processes for programs like ROTC and stuff like that, like looking into it, looking to sign up for it. And I really, I sent myself to sleep like sobbing, like thinking about it because I was like, I don't want this. I don't want this for my life. I don't want this weird stage where we're trying to figure out ourselves. I think our identity is shifting, like graduating from high school. At least for me, I graduated from high school. I moved to a different country. I'm kind of rambling, and for that, I do apologize. But you know, this is not perfect. This series is not going to be perfectly curated, and I don't have scripts. I don't have any of those things. It's really just like sit down and talk. And almost adulting, the whole purpose and my whole intention behind it is just to document like the sort of awkward steps of navigating adulthood. And there'll probably be some episodes where it's like, let's figure out how to file taxes. Let's figure out how to apply for this, how to apply for that, how to make a LinkedIn, how to make a handshake profile, not a regular handshake, how to network, how to like do all these things. As I figure it out, I'll come on here and I'll talk about it because I feel like there's so many new things that I'm going to have to learn and so many new things I'm going to have to do entering adulthood and just navigating the end stages of 17 that I think this could be a really interesting series. And I'm calling it Almost Adulting because I'm not quite an adult yet, you know? I don't know what the series name is going to change to when I do turn 18 because then I'll be adult. Then I'll be an adult. Who knows? Maybe we'll call it adulting almost. No, that sounds dumb. Sounds dumb. I do have a series with my best friend Ishana called Adulting Imperfectly, and that one is where the two of us talk together about life after high school, but that one's specifically about school. This is not necessarily specifically about school. I think I'll just talk about anything and everything that I encounter navigating young adulthood. You know, very weird age, very weird time to be. Anyhow, I don't really know what else to talk about. I feel like it's very awkward. I'm so used to when I do these types of videos, I will typically have film them with my best friend. So we're like bouncing ideas off each other. We're having a real conversation. Whereas I'm literally here talking to myself and it feels quite strange. I'm not gonna lie, it feels quite strange talking to myself. Um, what else could I say about 17? And there's not really much to say. I think the perfect way to sum up 17 is that you are at an age where you're approaching the brink of adulthood and you're dealing with the societal pressures of being an adult. You've lost the carefree nature of a really young kid, but you don't have the freedom of an adult. So it just kind of sucks, you know? Um but also 17 hasn't been all bad. Like I don't want to just talk negatively about 17. I think 17 has been incredibly informative. It has forced me to grapple with things. It has forced me to confront myself and the way that sometimes I'm willing to sacrifice my happiness for the sake of logic. I'm like, logically, what if I can't afford this? Or logically, what if I almost gave up going to my dream school because of quote unquote logic. And here's the thing, the cards are not always going to be in perfect alignment. Sometimes you just have to go for what you want. You're not always going to have all your I's dotted and all the T's crossed. That's not always the case. And I think so many of us, we sacrifice our happiness, we sacrifice opportunities for the sake of planning and preparation and being perfect. Ambitious people are never satisfied with what they do. And that's why they're the best, because they're never satisfied and they keep trying again and again and again. But that can also be your curse because you get stuck in the planning phase. You get stuck in wanting it to be perfect and being a perfectionist. And a lot of the times, because of my overthinking, I would say, logically I can't do this, and logic and logic and logic and logic and logic. But it wasn't logic. It was my self-doubt and my negative thoughts labeled as logic because it felt more logical to be pessimistic than to be optimistic, even though both of them have the same level of variability. That's not the word I'm looking for. Verifiable. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but they both validity. Both of them have the same level of validity. Neither of them are based in reality. They're based in my own thoughts, but somehow I'm willing to trust the self-doubt more than the belief in myself, than hope, than ambition, than the goals that I have for myself. I'm willing to trust self-doubt over that. But why? You know, I'm so glad that I've decided to go to my dream school because that's the school on my vision board. Like, girl, that's the school on your vision board. And you were going to give that up. I was going to give that up. I can't believe myself. I was going to give that up because of my fear, because of my self-doubt. And I will never do that. I will never do that again. I think the age of 17 taught me to go for the things that I want because there are so many negative things that we could look at. But my mother has always said, don't look at the cup as half empty. Look at it as half full. Look at all the things that you've managed to accomplish despite, certain things that have happened, and keep going for what you want. Keep going for your dreams and just go for it. Just do it, right? You'll get better as you do it. Like, let's do this almost adulting. Let's just do it. Let's almost do it. Halfway do it. Stick your toe in. 25%, 30%, 35%. Like, just a little bit, because you never know. You never know what could happen if you just give yourself the chance, if you just go for what you want. And that's ultimately the mindset that got me to start making videos, because I was like, hey, what's the worst thing that could happen? Nobody sees my videos and that's it. Nobody sees them. Okay. Maybe that might be a little embarrassing if I'm like posting into the void. But at the end of the day, embarrassment is a feeling that you give yourself. It's the idea of like, oh my gosh, somebody's watching me. And it's like cringe. And it's like, girl, be cringe and be free. Be embarrassed. Do it embarrassed. I think Gen Z, we've kind of lost the art of being hopeful. And hope is such a powerful thing because what can truly kill hope? Hope, once you have hope, once you believe in yourself and you know what you want, nobody can tell you no. Because even if you were to hit rock bottom, if you have hope, rock bottom is just going to be a trampoline for you. You're going to bounce right back up if that's how you think about yourself. If you hit rock bottom, there's going to be a net for you underneath if you have hope, if you believe in yourself. But if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't have hope, if you let your negative thoughts cloud you and you hit rock bottom, then yeah, maybe you might just keep sinking. That's why you have to believe in yourself. And I think hope and believing in yourself is like a muscle. You know, having faith in yourself is a muscle, and it's a muscle that I am going to continue to grow and nurture and do all the things I have to do to make this muscle as strong as it possibly can be as I enter adulthood. So I think that's how I'm going to end this off. This is Almost Adulting. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this. How do you feel about the age of 17? What are some things that you've learned this year? And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye! And don't forget to go and drink some water, drink some tea, or whatever you want to drink.